Hey guys, Otto here from Acquisition Partner. Now in today's video guys, what I'm going to do is go through a bit of an analysis here on communities as a product, okay? And this video is going to be specifically useful for you if you are trying to get a better understanding of what the community offer and product actually looks like on the back end, but also B, how you can launch a successful community for yourself, okay? So the first thing I want to say is that with the community offer, you are being lied to, okay? And this is coming from somebody who has a successful community, of which I'm going to talk you through a little bit and show you kind of the bare bones of how we've been able to achieve that, okay? So what I'm going to do is basically go through a very quick presentation here, all right? This is something I've thrown together from doing some background research into Hamza's community. And for those of you maybe you're living under a rock, and if you don't know, Hamza's basically a popular online kind of commentator. He's built a following in the manosphere. You know, his audience is predominantly young guys around the world looking to, I think, you know, get improvements in terms of self-development, you know, physique, business, whatever it might be. Okay, so initially he came up through that kind of, you know, giving advice when it comes to diet and nutrition, and I think maybe even women and dating, things like that. And what we're seeing now is Hamza pivot slightly to try and see what he can do in kind of the business niche and vertical. All right. So that's what this document's going to go through. And I think it's going to be really, really useful for you guys who are in a position where you've perhaps got an online offer and you're looking to scale it. Okay. So in terms of Hamza's community, the reason that I'm making this video is that I was on Twitter the other day and I came across a post that Hamza had put out. And I'm going to go over that post here where Hamza basically said that he is continuing to build out his community and he's looking for a way to better scale it. But one of the biggest problems that he's facing with his community right now is an incredibly high churn rate. Now, if you don't know what a churn rate is, there's lots of different definitions online depending on what type of business you run. But typically it's you know, a term that's applied to the SaaS space. So if you're selling a B2B or a B2C software platform or access to that platform, if you have users sign up and then eventually stop paying and stop using the platform, that's what churn refers to, okay? And what you don't want when it comes to a product where a member is basically going to pay you on a subscription basis is you don't want them just to sign up and then immediately stop paying you and churn, because everything that you put into acquisition, all of the cost of acquisition, not just the capital, but your time, your resources, and for example, in the context of Hamza, years of producing, you know, really in-depth YouTube videos to build trust with his audience in order to actually sell them this offer. You don't want that to go to waste if they then pay you not that much and then they churn and they don't continue to pay you for your product, okay? So Hamza built his following over a number of different years, okay? And just check out his channels to see the type of content he put out. Not that long ago, he released a community product on Skool as his platform of choice, okay? And he allegedly generates around 100K to 200K per month, right? And I'm going to talk to you about why I've highlighted allegedly here, all right? But just reverting back to this product. Now, I went through the comments on this post that Hamza put out, and churn can, you know, be a metric that reflects the number of different users who have stopped paying and using the platform over, say, a quarter, or it could be on, you know, a demi or annual basis. But in the terms of Hamza, the context is very interesting. And I think it's been revealed, maybe he didn't intend to do this, but it's been revealed in this post and through the comments that he's, you know, dropped interacting with his audience here, where he's basically looking for advice on how to retain his members past the first month. Okay, which is incredibly shocking. And what that shows is that, you know, there's a number of reasons why that might be, but what it shows in its most simplest form is that people from Hamza's following are then signing up to his Skool offer. They're paying for 1 month and then they're cancelling their membership. Okay, so something is inherently wrong with the offer and with the platform itself. All right, so the problem with this is that Hamza, the beginning of launching Adonis Skool on Skool, is that he followed the advice and went low ticket, and he thought, well, I've got a huge following, and if I did the old Andrew Tate thing and I got, you know, out of the millions of individuals that follow me, if I don't know, hundreds of thousands of those or thousands of those sign up to my low ticket monthly recurring subscription offer, then I'm going to be raking in millions every single month. But what the initial low ticket price doesn't account for is churn, okay? And it doesn't account for the fact that potentially Hamza's got a huge pool of individuals that follow him that would actually be willing to pay considerably more, who have now just bought into his brand. They've been grossly disappointed perhaps with the product that they've received, and then they've stopped paying him. Okay, and I'm going to talk about why this is not only damaging from a revenue generation perspective, but also from the fact that actually, although it loses money for Hamza, it actually damages his brand, and it reduces the trust and damages the trust that he's worked so tirelessly to build over the last few years with his audience. Okay, so he followed the advice and he went low ticket. Okay, and you might be hearing this advice and thinking you need to heed it too, as well. So you might be thinking, well, the reason I'm not booking calls or I'm not selling enough is that my prices are too high. I sell high ticket or ultra high ticket, and there's just not the buyers. And actually, I should have a low ticket offer, and I should only price my services at $20 per month and just get thousands of people to sign up. Okay, in theory, it sounds great, and that is indeed what you're being sold through Skool, like a platform and this community model. All right. So what you've got to bear in mind as well with a low ticket offer is that the cost of acquisition, and indeed for Hamza, is going to be such that the upside isn't warranted. Okay, so when you have an offer that's $20 per month or $50 per month or $100 per month, maybe you're running ads to it. Maybe it's just human capital at this, stage of your kind of business genesis. Maybe it's just simply your time and your effort that you're putting into putting out content. It's not going to be warranted. It's not going to be worth it when you get a user sign up for $100 for 1 month and then leave you. Okay, not least because of the brand damage it's going to cause. All right. And again, I've talked about damaged reputation, but what we anticipate is happening with Hamza's offer here, and I've got sort of screenshot evidence below, is that individuals are signing up. They're being promised one thing, they pay, they get past the paywall. It's a low ticket price, so it's easy for them to do so. And then they actually realize there's no inherent value. There's no utility to the product that they thought they were buying. Okay. So since what we've seen with Skool, and this isn't a video to harp on Hamza, this is a problem with the model as a whole, okay, and using Hamza for kind of, context to present this information to you. But since launching, Hamza's gone through a load of different pricing arrangements with Skool. Okay, so he's gone from the price of the monthly membership being just a few bucks per week to $129 per month only, to then a $997, almost $1,000 upfront payment, plus a $27 per month recurring payment. He's then dropped the upfront payment, suggesting that wasn't really working, and then increased the monthly subscription there on the back end. Either way, the problem of churn for Hamza is not going away anytime soon, okay? So what I'm going to do on this slide quickly, guys, is just break down the problem, right? So that it's clear for you, not least when you are buying into communities and trying to get an idea of what you might expect, but also if you're building communities for yourself, okay? So what you need to understand is that building a community is the next SMA gold rush. And, using Hamza as a context here, I even saw on his Twitter that he wants to release a high ticket offer, and what he wants that high ticket offer to be focused on is how helping the everyday person and how basically helping the everyday person to build their own Skool community will create a life of riches and wealth for them. Okay, so he's basically trying to sell people, or he's going to sell people allegedly what he's done with his community. Okay, so you can allegedly do the same. All right, but one thing you need to realize is that communities are really the next SMA gold rush. So it's almost as if we're 5 years, 6 years back, where individuals are allegedly launching their social media marketing agencies, whereas in reality, they're actually making most of their money from selling courses and selling the ideas to other people, trying to do the same. Okay. What you will find when you sign up to, a huge number of these communities, probably as large as 9 out of 10 of them, is that there's no intrinsic value. Okay, there's no inherent value that you're going to be getting from joining that community. And what you're going to find is that through that low cost, that low barrier to entry, okay, maybe you might waste $50 or $100 initially. You might sign up with the intent of canceling anyway, just to see, what's going on behind the paywall. But what you're going to find is that the information and the content that you're getting is actually different to what you've been promised, okay? So you might be thinking joining a community, you're going to get access to that individual, that guru, that influencer, whatever it might be. And then you're also going to get wider access to their incredibly successful network and, cohort of professors or whatever it might be. Whereas in reality, you log in and you're getting access to just another online course, and you realize it's just been packaged in a different way, okay? And what you're going to find is that once you're inside that online course, that the strategies and the kind of methodologies that these individuals are trying to teach you in order to build your own successful community really hinges on whether you have an audience or not. So the reason it's a confirmation bias, the reason these guys can make so much money is because it's a game of numbers, all right? They've got millions of followers and they think by introducing a low ticket offer, a small percentage of those followers will vote with their dollars and actually pay for it. But what we're showing here is that they actually cannot retain those users largely, okay? So if they're reporting 30 to 40% churn at best, you could probably anticipate those numbers being a lot higher than that, okay? Maybe even double, all right? So what you'll probably find is that once you're in Skool, you'll realize that everybody that's in Skool or similar platforms, again, not to harp on at Skool, is that these individuals aren't making money from actually their community. They're making money from telling you how to build a community on Skool. They're in buying, sharing their affiliate link. And every time you create a course on Skool and then somebody else that you've referred to create their own course on Skool, the individual who first referred you is going to get paid more and more, okay? And again, what this comes down to is the audience problem. So it's not whether you can be successful or not building out a community on Skool. It's that you potentially don't have the audience, and that's why you're not being successful. Okay. So one thing to notice here is that low ticket offers are not SaaS companies. And I think this is the kind of fugazi that everybody's being sold right now, is that you can build this SaaS-like company where members just have to pay, $15 per month. And all you have to do is focusing on getting the attention, the eyeballs, and generating, those user numbers. And that's when you're going to be able to make 100 to 200K per month. But the issue here is that the community model is really largely being looked at or marketed as more of a SaaS offer. Okay, but the problem here is that, like I say, within the community, 9 times out of 10, there's actually no intrinsic value being delivered. Okay, so individuals are paying, they're getting past that paywall, and they're just realizing they're getting access to information. Okay, that then leads to each individual member stopping paying, which leads to churn. Okay, which is churn. All right, but churn is not created equal, and churn in the SaaS world, which is typical, the phrase is coined from the SaaS world. Specifically in B2B SaaS, you've got companies and CEOs that are growing businesses, deploying millions of dollars worth of capital and human resources to actually create something bespoke, brand new, that has proprietary material value. Okay, and even then, those companies suffer from inherent churn. But the difference here is that those companies that actually have something of value, that have something physically that adds value to the individuals, the consumers, or the businesses deploying those softwares in their business, is that those SaaS companies will have inevitably a chance to re-engage those previous members and then try and bring them back into their product ecosphere as they go on. But the problem is, if you treat your low ticket offer in your community like this, 9 times out of 10, what you're going to find is that individuals that join get access to what in essence is course material, online course material. They feel scammed. They stop paying you, which again is churn, similar to the SaaS world. But like I say, not all churn is created equal. And whereas this might not necessarily happen, so much with the well-funded and invested in SaaS company, for you and for any, online influencer who's running an offer like this, they've given their followers a chance to kind of act on the trust that they've built with them. They can buy in for a very cheap amount of initial, investment and money. And then what they realize is they're not getting what they paid for. And that doesn't just affect the bottom line for you as a business owner or for the influencer. It doesn't just mean that they're going to be earning less money. It actually means that their reputation has been damaged, okay? And all of the work that they've put into producing free content, or, years like in Hamza's case, of producing YouTube videos, for a $10 payment or a $100 payment, a large percentage of their audiences are basically getting revealed to them how, they're not getting what they were promised, okay, which leads to a waning in their trust, all right? So really, what this comes down to is the offer of community. And I guess in its kind of integral, inherent form, community is really the wrong term, okay? So if I was buying a house and I specifically wanted to live somewhere in or with a strong community, what would I be looking for? And ask yourself this question, okay? So for myself, if the prerequisite of buying a house was community, and that's what I was paying for and buying into, I would want privacy, I would want gates, I would want a neighborhood watch, perhaps, some sort of organized protective structure in place that keeps me and my family safe and keeps the riffraff out. And I would not want to be in a place that allowed, the free flow of random people, okay, specifically if I was paying for, all right? If I had a selling agent come to me and say, we found this great house and it's in London, I would be saying, look, I've tasked you with finding me a place to buy that has community, okay? London is not a community. 9 million people freely moving in and out does not define what a community is. There's no gates, there's no borders. I wouldn't spend money on a random house in London under the impression that I was buying into a community. And the question I want to ask you is, why are you doing this with Skool? Okay, why are you doing this with online gurus and influencers communities? And what it comes down to is that community really is not what's on offer. Okay, it's the wrong term. And what you're paying for, like we've established, and what you get is completely disenfranchised. Okay, so you think you're getting access to a great person and their great network, but in reality, it's just another online course. Okay, and this response here to Hamza's tweet was really interesting. So this chap responds and he says, Alex Hormozi mentioned at some point about selling personalization. He says, I think the thing with the community is that even with its value, it's more like a course over community. Okay, so this guy specifically used to be in Adonis School. One of the biggest factors he's saying for him, besides the money, was a diminishing value curve. Okay, so there's no incentive for him to continue paying past that initial access, which therein lies Hamza's retention and churn problem. Okay. This guy goes on to saying, you're unable to provide value to individual members, even with your staff, because there's simply too many of them. Every call has like 20 other people and would probably barely have the time to tell their problems and get a personalized solution. And I don't understand how they get to ask it all. So they don't get to ask their questions. Okay. Overall, it's just that people perceive it too much like a course. And even with the community aspect, even with their networks, it's more like a course plus a network that comes with it rather than a paid community. Okay. So where do we go from here? All right. So if you're about to launch a community offer or add it into your suite of products, these next couple of slides here are going to help you, okay? And I'm going to talk to you about what we're doing in the context of acquisition partner, okay? So we are not, I like to think we're contrarians with how we, approach the agency space and what we do, but we are leveraging the community as an offer because we'd be stupid not to, okay? And we'd also be stupid to try and call this something different when the phrase is being coined so widely. You know, people are spending tens of thousands of pounds on ads every single day to push their community offer, okay? And we're leveraging the back end of that, all right? But the difference, I guess, for us is that we're doing two things here. Okay, so we are religiously gatekeeping. So instead of having a community that is a community that's open to everybody, wherever you're from, whatever background, we are religiously gatekeeping ours, and we continue to do so. Okay, the reason that we're doing that is that we will only ever open up spaces and accept individuals into the community when and if it adds value to the other members. Okay. So therein by progressively adding more and more resources, more members with access opportunities indefinitely based on the inherent value that they have, okay? So we don't want, some random teenager in their mum's basement to join the community, bother all of our members right now with things that are, irrelevant and not relevant to where our other community members are in their business genesis, okay? Now, the way we're doing this is through leverage membership. And in essence, this comes down to what our community is. In reality, it's a leverage community. So we don't have an everyday community product. You can't just, if you're anybody and anybody, you can't just join. If we had 100 people today try and pay to join our community, they simply couldn't. That's not what we have on offer, okay? So we have a leverage community, and we want our members and our membership to continue being leveraged, okay? So what that means is fewer members. We do not want more and more members indefinitely, but these fewer members will each bring their own unique value, and they continue to do so, okay? And we want their engagement to directly increase the value for all of our other members exponentially. So we want, when a new member joins the community, we don't just want the fact that, there's one new member in the community, so they add, one set of, or one metric addition of value for the other members in there. We want that new member to come in and make the community 10 times more valuable than it was before they joined. All right. And that's what we do to this date. Okay, so in terms of the other gatekeeping strategies that we're doing, we've got a strict application process. We're not only gatekeeping applications on that wait list, but we're also gatekeeping by price. Okay, so what that means is that we have premium pricing. You won't be able to pay $19 a month. We absolutely do not allow people to pay for 1 month just to try it out or hack our funnel. We've solved for that already. And if you want access to the community and you actually receive an invite, you're then going to have to overcome a minimum buy-in too. Okay, so it's not extortionate, it's not ultra high ticket, but it is enough to wean out those individuals who, don't match our niche and our target market. Okay, and again, quality over quantity, it goes without saying, but we wean out all entrepreneurs, any teenagers in mum's basement. We don't want to expose any of our existing community members to newcomers who just want to try things out. Okay, so it's value add only and always. All right. So if you guys want access to this spreadsheet, I'm going to drop it in our free Discord server. You get access to the Discord server through our free course. It's 100% free. It always will be. It is now and it always will be. You don't have to put in your card details, anything like that. So I'm going to drop a link below so you can get access to that. And you'll also be able to get an exclusive kind of peek behind the curtains of what's actually included in our Leverage Community offer. All right, guys, hope you're getting on well with your business. If you've liked this video, drop me a comment below. Click the link below in the description box to the free community, and I'll catch you in the next one. All right, cheers.